The channels are open and the channels are available. Make sure that you're able to share the link. Make sure that you're able to share the link. There is something about when we plant the seed of love in us, it is always very beautiful. When we plant the seed of love, when you plant the seed of love, you can tell when it germinates. You can tell the result when you plant the seed of love. When you plant the seed of love, you will have something to look forward to, and you always get to look up to see what God is about to do. When people need to plant, you see, in marriage, in relationship, there is always a season of planting. And the most important time to plant is at the very beginning of your relationship. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I want you to share this message. I want you to go ahead and share this message. At the season of planting, that is the moment you have made up your mind to marry the next person. I don't see people sharing yet. I want you to go ahead and share this message. I am not seeing people sharing it. Every channel of this ministry is open. All you need to do is to share. There is no way you can expect you can expect a very smooth relationship if there is no planting, if there is no cultivation, if there is no time. People have confused themselves and have refused to learn from the past. You know why? Because when they were supposed to plant, they did not plant from the day they entered into that relationship. They wanted the harvest. They wanted to pluck. They wanted to grab. They wanted to enjoy. All from the very day they began that relationship. You see, it does not work that way. Everything you want in that relationship, you have to work for it. You see, that is one of the problems that we have had, and so many persons have had in the past. That is why it doesn't matter how many husbands you have ever married. You can even marry more husbands. You can actually marry more wives. And it is gonna be the same repetition. It might be similar. It might be different, but it will be similar. The question, and the very question is, am I in the planting? Have I planted in this relationship? Let me tell you something. When I talk about planting, don't tell me about how you have established your husband. Don't tell me about how you established your wife. I'm talking about the sowing of true love. You see, there is a difference between love and responsibility. Okay? Okay, there's a difference between love and responsibility. And also, there is a situation where you can have love with responsibility. So, I'll give you a good example. For example, you married a man, you married somebody you called your husband, and this man has no job and as well didn't go to school. You went to school, probably you were a nurse, you are making better money. You decided, well, since he has no education and he's not making a better money, well, let me support him to go to school so that he can make better money. What in the times in your heart, it is still not love if you are not doing it out of love. It is not still love if you don't have any affection for him. What you simply did was investment. What you simply did was what any company would do for their staff just so that there would be a better productivity. Not on the basis of love, it was on the basis of income. You see, some persons have lived together like roommates and, business partners more than they have actually become true husband and wife where there is true love. Everybody, when you see couples around, sometimes you might think, well, they are in love. Not all couples are in love, and not all couples love each other. Everybody, some persons seems to have their own, they have their own expectation, they have their own plans that might not have anything to do with true love. And that is why in some situation, when others are planting the seed of love, they are not planting. They are only doing business. Oh, I want to tell you something. Marriage could be business. As an Igbo man, I can tell you how you can make a whole lot of money from marriage. And you will be a big time billionaire just for the sake that you married. You can live a cool life without falling in love, and yet you are married. And it seems to me that this is what some persons are now doing. Getting into a relationship that leads to marriage, but not a valid marriage. Do you know so many things there have been so many things that are in the heart of many, and they have it in their heart till they die. Nobody knows it. They never spoke to anybody about it, but they have it in their mind. They knew that they were not ready for this marriage, and they just took it to this marriage because of their situation and condition. Probably because they were gold diggers and they just went into it, grabbed it, and they were always ready to walk out of the relationship or whatever. So long as the wood is green, they will remain. So long as they are not bothered, they will remain. But they are not into the marriage, but they are just there. There is also a difference between being in marriage and just being there. They are just there. Even you look at them, they seems like they're happy, but the marriage is not making them happy. The reason for their happiness is not because of the other person. The reason for their presence in the family is not because of the person they married to. They have a different agenda. And when you have such people, they don't plant, they don't sow seed, they do business. You see, this is one of the reasons the Catholic Church they always make sure we as Catholics, I don't know about other churches, but we as Catholics, we make sure that there is no condition attached to your marriage. There is no restriction attached to your marriage. And there is no impending things waiting as a result of that marriage. It must be free. It is something that you on your own decided to step in, and there is no threat and there is no condition attached to it. There is no attachment. It is what it is. Whatever you see is what you're going to take. Whatever you want to do, that's what you're going to do. If you like it, you're going for it. If you don't like it, you back off and go look for what you like. But most importantly, don't forget that the marriage is only but a call. And so it is, I know, of course, you're going to like it. One of the signs, one of the in discernment of vocation, one of the things that must stand out while you are discerning your vocation, whether it's married life or priesthood or religious life, is that you must find it happy. You must be happy in that vocation, in that call. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I want you to share this message. Go ahead and share the video. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and share every link. The channels are very, very clear. Go ahead and share it. It is very important, child of God, that you consider this aspect of life. Planting and sowing the seed. Planting and sowing the seed. There is another aspect I want you to consider too. I want you to consider the very seed that you sow. Is it actually true love? Or is it about fulfilling societal obligation? Remember, you must have a seed before you can be able to sow. You know, you can actually pretend to be sowing when you are not sowing. You can actually pretend. There is a lot of pretense in some marriages. Everybody is pretending. And these things can lead to lies. And when you begin to lie in your relationship, you will just screw it up. Because the moment the other person now recognizes that you are a liar, my dear, the relationship becomes wacky. And sometimes the fruits and the benefits of that marriage cannot be actualized. Now look at each other and ask yourself, honey, when last did you lie? When last did you lie? You know, lying is easy. And how do you know a spouse that lies? When he or she wants you to lie, when he lies to others. Let me tell you something, when you have a spouse that always lies to others, he lies to customers, he lies to friends, he lies to business associates, don't worry. It is only I'm telling you the truth. That person is also lying to you. She's also lying to you. It's just that you have not paid attention to realize to realize how much he has lied, how much thing you have done together that probably is a lie. There are often times pretense. Sometimes when your husband or your wife decides to do something, not because he likes to do it, but just because he just needs to keep the tension. Oftentimes, it might be prudent. It might be out of prudence that he just did what he didn't like to do or what she don't like to do. But in the other side, it could be to fake happiness. And that does not fix anything. It may be to keep tension, but it doesn't necessarily fix anything. Because when he comes out or when she comes out to say, "Oh, I love this is so great. Wow, wow, wow." And then in your mind, you're like, "Oh, he likes it." The next time you expect him to do it, and he begins to give you attitude or begins to give unnecessary excuse, that's really hurts. Because what the image he presents was an image that was like, "Ooh, that was cool." The image that he can do it. And you see this kind of thing. He gave you a very high hope. She gave you a very high hope, a high expectation. You thought you guys are cool with this. And because he likes it a lot and you like it, you expected, well, we're gonna be doing this as often as on. When you discover that the first time was all pretense, it does hurt. So a lot of us have done some fake things, faking things to keep the tension, to hold the tension. When we thought we were smart, we probably did not know. We probably did not know that we were screwing our relationship. So instead of us to sow the seed of love, we ended up, out of ignorance or sometimes deliberately, we ended up sowing the seed of lies. Now, and this is one thing that we have to remember. Once the foundation of your relationship is founded on lies, once the relationship, the foundation, you see, the foundation is very important. Foundation of our relationship is very, very important. Once the foundation of your relationship is built on falsehood, there is no marriage. Quote me anywhere. That thing you call marriage is no marriage. Once the foundation of your relationship is founded on falsehood, look, it is not marriage. Call it any other thing, but definitely not marriage. Some people have been living in falsehood. They have been living together thinking they are married, but there is no marriage. It is oftentimes a matter of time. It will break and it will be broken into pieces. How can you begin a life under pretense? How can you begin a life under falsehood? How can you lie? How can you lie and believe that nobody will know? How can you lie and believe that it is okay? How can it be okay? How can you falsify information? And whenever they ask you questions regarding those information, instead of you to come out clean and come out bold, you are shouting and trying to intimidate. My dear, you have never married. You are not married. You are just living in falsehood. My brothers and sisters, I want you to also pay attention to this. When you sow a seed of lies and falsehood, there is always a reward. There is always a reward for a seed of falsehood in your relationship, in your marriage. There is always a reward for falsehood and for lies. And that is what we call the reward of wasted years. You see, there is something called wasted years. In wasted years, you can be married for 30 years only to discover that you just wasted your life for 30 good years. But do you know what hurts more? What hurts more is the pain that you have caused the other person. For somebody you never loved, you were never in love for 30 years. It is very hurting when this other person thought he was married or that she was married, and within you, you were not married. This person is building his or her life with you. You see, life is very precious. Life is not just about breathing in and breathing out. There is more to life. When you cause the other to waste their life, when you are building your life with somebody who is not you, be careful. Their destiny, their joy, their future, their life, their spirit is always wrapped around you. And when in the middle of life you decide to run, my dear, there are consequences for those actions. For sure, you can never live a fulfilled life, neither will you be happy in life. There is something called natural law. So it is very important that the earlier you begin to go back to the foundation and destroy the old foundation. You see, people are afraid. Some persons are afraid of destroying the old foundation that is under falsehood and that is under pretense. You see, it is so difficult. And I can understand how it is difficult. But until you destroy the old foundation, until you destroy the falsehood foundation, you can't build any better life. Is somebody listening? Am I communicating? I hope you are sharing this message. You know, it gets to the point where you try to pretend, you try to cover up, you try to make it up. Let me tell you, there's nothing to make up until you destroy the old and wrong foundation. You can't build a good foundation on a false foundation. It's not possible. Don't be scared of destroying the falsehood called foundation. You cannot begin afresh. You can love again. You can build together in all honesty. It is important to sow the seed of love. Let me tell you, if you have never fallen in love before, if the man or the woman you are married to is not the love of your life, my dear, I don't know what you are doing. No. He will remain your roommate. You can never force love. You can manage to stay with people, but you can't force love. And I can tell you, some persons have been married, but they are not in love. And their joy cannot be complete. Let me tell you, I can take you like my sister and we can live like brothers and sisters. There is nothing wrong with that. But please don't make the mistake of calling it marriage. The reason is because there are certain things that needs to happen that will never happen because it is never marriage. Sometimes you want your husband to be lobby, and you want him to be romantic. You want him to be, make you feel certain way. You want him to, you want him to make you feel like a woman, cherish you, spoil you, say those things, and he's not saying it. Oftentimes, it is not because it's not in his nature to say it. After all, you see how he compliments other people. I'm telling you. You have also seen how he compliments other people. Hi, did you see Nkechi? Hi, man, Nkechi have changed too. Listen to him when he talk about other women. And ask yourself, how does he talk about you like this? Sometimes it is because he doesn't have feelings for you. Oftentimes it is because he's not in love. Probably he has been pretending all this while. When you see a man and knows where his heart is, it is always obvious. When you see a woman who is in love with you or who is in love with someone else, watch and see how they talk about them and watch how they talk about you. You can always differentiate when someone is in love and when someone is just there. I know what I'm saying tonight might not be so good in the eyes of some persons, but God is exposing things. Hallelujah. Are you sharing this message? Are you sharing this message? What seed are you sowing in your relationship? I talked about some things that are bad. Let's look at the things that are good. When you sow a seed of love, in most cases, it is very natural. Nobody tells you to sow the seed. In fact, the way the energy comes from nowhere, there is so much energy and there is so much excitement. The energy is there. You are so happy and you are just there asking, where else can I sow the seed? And this is one of the questions that we need to remember. You are always excited looking for ways to sow the seed. Kereba sow seed. Where do I need to sow the seed? And right there, you just sow the seed. Because you are always ready. Opasida. Kedi fenge mele wunyem, kedi fenge mele tim. Kedi focho kame, adim ready. Like honor no God could not be. Like it is just the passion and the zeal to make my other half happy is always there. Even when there is nothing, even when there is so much problem, either in your finances, in your place of work, or whatever that you may be going through, you still want your other half to be happy. And the only thing that gives you joy is to please the other person. This is when you are in love. I want to invite everybody to go into watch party. Just go ahead. Go, everybody, join watch party. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, I want you to go ahead and share it. Sometimes this is all that we need to do the will of the other person, to bring joy. And that is why, even in this ministration, we are asking God to give us the spirit to look up on the other person. You see, when you sow a seed, you have something to look up for. One of the reasons why people look down on others is also because they have nothing to gain. I mean, if your $1 billion is invested in something, upon one guy wanting to look up, nobody should tell you to look up to, nobody should tell you to expect something. You're always looking up for something when you have something. If you have an interest. In marriage, the only thing to invest is love. Anything short of that, there is no investment. Anything short of that is no good. So I want to ask you, child of God, are you still interested in sowing the seed of love? Sometimes it can be difficult. Sometimes it can really, really be difficult. Sometimes it can be very unfortunate. Sometimes it can be up and down. But I tell you, that very seed of love, if it terminates, can bear you a lot of fruits of blessing. The blessing you are looking for is always there. You just need to tap from it. I think every child of God needs to sow the seed of love. Nothing should prevent you. Let's begin afresh. If what we were doing before was not what it's supposed to be, let us start all over. Oh, yeah. Can we start all over? Can we begin on a good foundation? I remember one lady, I was just going to share this story with you. A lady was always, she was kind of spending her life on, unworldly things. She was not settled at that time. One of the things that happened to her was that she married a man. Found the man in the club. She liked the man, just married him. No question asked. She used to sleep with people a lot. She was a prostitute. So it didn't matter to her who she married. The only thing that mattered to her was that she wanted to marry a rich man. And so the man she married was kind of up and doing. Was not really rich, but he was okay. And so long as this guy doesn't give him problem, he was cool. She was cool with the marriage. For the man was looking for someone who will love him because he has been in different relationship and he didn't seem to he has not been able to get the woman of her life, the woman of his life. But unfortunately, he was always looking for women in the most wrong places. Part of the places he looked for women was in the church. But I tell you something, horrible things happens in the church too. Some of us now, when we want to marry, we want to go to the church and we're looking for all the women, all the girls in the church, thinking that the women there, the girls there are all angels. I mean, one good place to look for a decent woman is in the church. But I tell you, every man has been destined for a particular woman. And sometimes the woman might not be in the church. That is why sometimes when you ask yourself, when somebody asks you, what woman do you want to marry? A very God-fearing woman. Oftentimes, when you want to go and look for a God-fearing woman, where do you find the God-fearing woman? In the church. So because she goes to church, it appears like, well, she is God fearing. But I want to scandalize you a little bit. Not everybody you see in the church is God fearing. I'm just telling you for facts. If the devil can go to church and be in the church, not every person you see in the church is God fearing. Even if you go to a shower house, you might find some God fearing persons there too. This is one of the areas that we need to pay attention to. So this man was looking for a wife because the previous marriage he went to, he married he married a prayer warrior. He married such very religious woman. This woman is, if you see her, it is fire upon fire. She was very religious. She was, according to her, she was very spiritual. That's what, remember when I told you some years ago, when I will always tell you, if you want to get married, please don't marry anybody because he's a pastor. That you're a pastor doesn't make you a good husband. And that you're a pastor doesn't guarantee that your marriage will be such a blessing flow. Even if it is me, don't marry me because I'm the one giving this talk. Therefore, for the manual, if Pope should say every priest should marry, I have to go and rush for the manual because for the manual probably have a better understanding of marriage. Therefore, everything's gonna be working out well. That is a lie. I probably might not be your best. I probably might not suit the description of the kind of man that you need. Everybody has a particular person God has destined them. There are certain category of people that should be in your life. It's not every Dick and Harry that comes to your life. It is not everybody you can marry. You must have a test. You must have a choice. You must have certain things that you are looking for. It is not a complete thing, but there are few things, just very few feelings, understanding, exposure. Money can be part of it too. If you don't want to marry a poor man, don't marry a poor man, period. Keep on waiting for the rich man. Hopefully, God will bless you with one. But I advise you not to be waiting for a rich man. In fact, if you find somebody you love, marry the person. As long as, for you to say that you love somebody, you people must be compatible. That is the most basic thing. You are compatible. Because if you're compatible, you will love the person will love you. And the other thing is that whatever happens, happens. You love each other. What it means is that if you're compatible, what it means that you understand each other. There is a better understanding, something that you can grow and it becomes something. So this woman, married this man. Ima, Ibacha Arabanko, Ibicha Ndodenowa, start living a worldly life. Age will always, even if you don't want to repent, even if you don't want to calm down, even if your blood is too hot, age always have a way of reminding us that it is not like before. There is a level and there is an age you get to. Even if you have no sense, you begin to get some little sense. Situation in life will begin to teach you something different. So one of the things, brothers and sisters, one of the things that happens in that relationship is this. The woman realized that she was not getting any younger. And she also realized that the kind of man she married, that the kind of service she gives to the man she married was not befitting of such a good man. She began to realize that she needed to really settle down. That was after 6 years. She wanted to come out. She wanted to be open this time around. She wanted to love. She wanted something that is real. For part of the struggle she had was to come out to say, all this while I was just whiling my time, but here I have come to stay. It troubled her for a long time. How she would tell the husband that she loved that loved her so much that all this while she didn't mean business. So she was in the dilemma of whether to say it or not to say it. She was in the dilemma of, is it necessary that I tell my husband how she has been faring and what she is feeling now, or just shut up and just move on? Well, she finally decided she was not going to tell her husband, but she have to, that she was not going to verbally tell her husband, but she will demonstrate it in her behavior. So she said she was not going to say anything verbally, but she will demonstrate it in her behavior. So what happens is she started becoming very nice. She started becoming very, very nice. Her attitude changed. Her commitment changed. Her presentation changed. The way she talked to her husband changed. Everything just changed. And her husband started noticing something. The woman became a woman of prayer. This is a woman who ordinarily, she doesn't care about anything. She doesn't say bad words. She wasn't rude to her husband. But she was always living a life like, I don't care what is life. Like, she was not a settled, a mannered or cultured girl. She was not really cultured. So the husband began to notice so many changes, positive changes. And one day, the husband came to her, knelt down, and started asking her wife, what happened? Is there anything he needs to know? That this is too much. The wife said nothing. The husband was surprised. And for about some days, the man was really, really scared. He was worried. He doesn't know what to believe and know what to believe. This lady becomes super nice. He saw a very humble woman. He saw in his life a true love, like real love that he has always prayed for. Well, after a while, the woman decided to tell the truth. And this was his truth. This was her truth. She told her husband, now I am matured. Now I think I know better. I know you love me. And that was all she needed to say. I think one other thing she said was that the man deserved better. And so for her, it is her duty to make sure that the husband gets the best. I want you also in your own part. I want you in your own part to think about it. Do your wife deserve the best? Do your wife deserve the best? Are you now matured? Or do you still think like children and behave like children? Or like kind of a situation where you really don't care? Everything we do in life have a repercussion. Whether we like it or not, Obi one day will become a man. Ada one day, Ada will become a woman. Sometimes it has to happen. It just have to happen. What kind of life do you want? Do you want a matured married life? Or do you just want to continue like as if you are still 16 or 18 or 20 years? You see, sometimes some people are treated the way they are treated. They're treated like kids, they are treated with less respect. And oftentimes it is because of the way they carry themselves. Oftentimes it's because they don't act maturely. It is not a magic to expect your husband to treat you like a matured person if you don't carry yourself like a matured lady. You will always gonna get disrespect from your wife or your husband if you don't act maturely. Not because they want to disrespect you, but because your action is already disrespectful. You disrespect yourself as well as disrespect the other person. So when can we get into a matured relationship? Because ordinarily, even in the Catholic Church, the Catholic Church recognize that marriage is for matured people. It is for matured minds. It is not joke, and it is not a child's play. That is why the activities and things that happens in marriage is really for people who are matured. So if you are matured, ordinarily Nobody should tell you. Nobody should tell you that it is farming season. It is time to plant a seed. Nobody should tell you that. You should know already. It's like actually, it's like waiting for somebody to tell you as a woman to go and prepare food for the family, or as a man that you should provide food for the house. It is you don't wait for people to tell you that. It is something that we should know already. Somebody will tell me like um sometimes somebody will advise you, oh, just relax, she's not exposed to those things. She's not exposed. That's one of the reasons why I always recommend that if you want to get married, make sure that the person you are marrying is at least close to your, make sure that the person is a little bit close to your standard, close, little bit close to the level of your exposure. Make sure that the person you are marrying, that's why it is highly recommended that it is better to marry your best friend and that you are able to see your spouse as your best friend. If this best friend does not walk in between both of you, uh, I don't want to say that there could be a problem, but it's just oftentimes it is not smooth. Maybe you are not best friend yet, but we are hoping that by through your marriage, you will all gonna see yourselves as best friends. And so that you can be able to treat each other just the way best friends would treat each other. So when you become best friends, really happens? That when you blink your eyes, your best friend already know what you're saying. It's not like you're gonna spell everything out because you already know. Think about your best friend. You already know. You blink your eyes, papa. She copy it immediately. When your face changes, he gets the message. Things flow. As a banker, you don't need to go and marry a bookie, except you really love a bookie and you really want to work on it. Of course. When you plant, remember this. Some people like to plant immediately and they expect to harvest or they expect things to work out well. But there is something about planting. When you plant, you need to be patient. But most importantly, you need to walk. You do the weeding, you put fertilizer, you put manure, you water, and then you wait. Sometimes you need to watch out for some animals that come to eat the crop, like the birds and other animals like that. You need to watch out for it. Sometimes in your marriage, you need to watch out for Fulani herdsmen. Oh, yeah, you heard me right, right? If you are from Nigeria, you need to watch out for Fulani herdsmen in your marriage. Those who will come and eat with their cow, they'll come and eat everything in your family, in your marriage. Those seeds you have sown, you wake up in the morning, the Fulani herdsmen that have come and they have eaten everything with their cows. They will destroy it. They don't even care how much and how long you have been on that field planting. These Fulani herdsmen can be anybody. It can be your parents, it can be your friends, it can be your enemy, it can be your landlord, it can be your schoolmate, it can be anybody. Even there are Fulani herdsmen. This kind of Fulani herdsmen, they are also in your church. They can be in the church. They can be your pastor too. They come and eat your crop when they have not planted anything. So you really need to watch that. can you say you are matured? Because it is a level of maturity that tells you what has been planted and what needs to be planted. As a good woman, you should know better. As a mature, that's why when they say somebody is married, instantly it's expected that the person is matured. The moment they say you are married, instantly, whether you like it or not, oh, even the children know that you are matured. And so they expect maturity in your actions. That is why, as a woman, there are certain things you will do. People will say, don't you know you are a married woman? These days, you dare not say it. You dare not even tell your fellow woman, don't you know you are a married woman? You say that you are in trouble. Nkoleka, nke a bụkwa m gịnị? Asịkwa m nọọ gịnị na aya kwanụ gị? Ọ sị nọọ gịnị dị? Ọ dị ka isi emebie ya. Ị na-asị m nọ ị na-asị m na m anụọ na di ị chọrọ ime m agadi. It's very funny how so many married women today try to be younger than those who are actually young. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. The question is, what exactly are you doing? That thing that you want to do that makes you want to feel young. Are they are they something that is questionable? Are they something you should be proud of? Is it somewhere you need to be? You see, you cannot sow a seed and just destroy the seed that you have sown. You can't sow a seed. Look, how do I say it? You can't sow a seed and try to water the seed. At the same time, you put fuel in the seed that is germinating instead of water. It's a bad combination. So instead of putting water, you put kerosene, you put gas. And if they ask you, say, well, I'm trying to make it grow in the name of I want to be young. If you miss your good old days, wake up. You are no longer a child. Hapụziere ya ụmụaka, hang ya boot gị. Anyị agbacha na ball. After all, look at Okocha, look at Kanu Nwankwo. They have all had their boots. It can eme as if Nika bụ nwokorobịa at the age of 50 something. Very soon, your mates are already preparing for retirement. Nke when you retire, you can agba ball you can agba ball. Your boys so your boys so your boys. Forget about the fact that Nigerians, some of Nigeria people like Buhari feel like they are matured, but they are not old. So people like Adesina still call themselves youth. You know, people in their 50s, they feel like they are youth. And then when you are 50 and you call yourself youth, then what do you call me, who is not even close to 50? If I'm a child, then what happens to those? What happens to those who are 20 years and 30 years? What happened to them? You call them what? Unborn children. And then those who are 10 years are what? Never existed. Never existed. It's very important. Remember, you are matured. Remember, you are matured. You have sown a seed, and it is because that everybody is expecting maturity from you. That is why you are held in a very high esteem. Every married man and every married woman is always held in a very high esteem. There are things you are not supposed to say anymore. There are things you need to give up. There are there is a different chapter of your life. It is a different phase of life. What I'm saying today is not new, but it's just a reminder. Focus on the what you have planted. Some people when they begin their marriage, they begin their married life, they know they prepared very well. But some of the problem is that they are not focused. They planted and they abandon it, and they abandon what they have planted because they are not patient. They left it and they went for something else. Sow the seed, water the seed, nurture the seed, and wait for the harvest. Wait for the harvest. This is the most annoying part for some persons, to wait for the harvest. You remember when you have to wait, you have to tolerate, you have to put up with some nonsense. You have to watch carefully what you say. You have to make sure that you are building and not destroying. You have to wait until your children are 18. You have to wait for your grandchildren. You have to wait for your children to bless you. Uh-huh. You have to wait for your aging, your period of aging. So many things to wait for. I want you, child of God, to begin to think of looking up to your spouse. I want you to spend time thinking of looking up to your spouse. Look up to your spouse. Even if he or she is not up to living up to expectation, be a support. Give a supporting hand. Don't write them off. Don't write him off. Support and be patient. Let your let your desire not be to to dismiss the other person. I want divorce. Akpaga aka n'ọnụ itie divorce. Afa nna gị ọ bụ divorce. Amụrụ gị mụọ divorce. Sometimes we need to bring the attention of our brothers and sisters, those who champion divorce. Ask yourself, did your parents divorce? Agwaga ọka nke mma gị mma. Are you better than your mother? Or are you better than your father? If they could endure, why can't you endure? I mean, I'm not saying that you should stay in a marriage that is about to consume your life. I'm not trying to say that you should stay in an abusive relationship, but I will always be asking you about what effort are you making to make this relationship better? What effort are you making on your own part? I mean, I know you should worry about the other person's part, but I think one of the things is to deal with our own part. What effort are we making to to make the other person comply? What other effort are we making? What effort are we making? Everything. I want to divorce you. I want to divorce. I want a divorce. I want it. Even some little things we can settle. Like divorce is now a threat. I want to divorce him. For what? I want to divorce her. Can we not fix this? Can we fix it? Is this thing fixable or not? I want you to also remember, especially situations where children are involved, you just don't divorce because you just can't control your emotions. Divorce is always the last resort. In fact, oftentimes it is the part that should not even be mentioned. But oftentimes this is the first we mentioned. A little thing, divorce. Before we even start thinking about forgiveness, before we start thinking about tolerance, before we even start thinking about the hope and the future, before we start thinking about the children and how they will cope and what will surround their life, before we even start thinking about the consequences of a divided family. My brothers and sisters, oftentimes divorce does not answer all prayer. Divorce is always the last hope. But even at that, divorce shouldn't even be mentioned. It is not, it is a no. I don't know if you have ever discussed it with your spouse that divorce is a no for us. We have to stay and fix this. I don't care sometimes what your friends are saying. There are certain things that requires really divorce. Let's be facts. Let's be straight up. Let's look at it. There are so many situations that we really require divorce. But even when these situations arises and matches those descriptions, can you still give it a second thought, a third thought, a fourth thought, an eighth thought, the 12th thought? Can you give it a different thought? Like maybe let's say you are 40 years. Can you give it up to 40 thoughts before you make that decision? Remember what I said, there are very rare situations where it becomes very necessary, especially on the issues of your life, for the safety of your life. But even at that, oftentimes separation might be necessary than divorce. You can be separated and still be together. You can be separated, but you're still husband and wife. Maybe it is a case where the other person have a mental instability. So you know that this person is not acting right. But for the sake of the love you have, because when everything was good, when his mind was in order, he was this is the man you know. I want you to always prayerfully consider those things and allow the Holy Spirit to lead you and not you leading yourself. I invite you to bow down your heads as we pray. Almighty and eternal God, we ask of your spirit in this place. Father, we pray that you may give us the strength and the spirit to look up to one another. Give us the strength to continue to plant good seed in our relationship. Open our eyes to discern and our mouths to prophesy goodness unto our marriage, unto our relationship. We ask of your infinite goodness. We ask for your greater love. Teach us how to love and teach us how to live together. May Our Lady of all vocations intercede for us. May God, who has called us, give us all that we need in order to bring glory to his name through our vocation. And may Almighty God bless you and keep you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I want to thank you for joining us today. We're gonna be talking a lot about this during our women's summit. We're gonna be talking about it as it pertains to men. Part of what we discussed today, and like even in the manner in which we talked about it, it will take a similar shape or form. It's gonna be a kind of it's gonna be like a 24 hours, almost like a 24 hours program for us, especially for those in the United States. As we are planning this, it's gonna be unfolding gradually. But remember the date because we will be starting in earnest. Thank you and God bless you and have a wonderful night.